Our next assignment in Google SketchUp is about building a wall that kind of surrounds like a courtyard. And then there are some bonus levels that are involved in this, and there are some new tools involved in the assignment as well. Here's one that's already done. So you can kind of see how this looks like a big wall that's surrounding this courtyard area in the middle. And in the courtyard area, there's this like round pool of water that's in there. It's just like a water feature, a reflecting pool, or maybe it's got goldfish in it or something like that. And on this version of it, some things have been done to the top edge of the wall to make it a little bit fancier. That's actually a bonus level today, but I'll show you everything that is required on this assignment, and there are a few new tools that are going to be involved in this one. I'm going to go back home on Google SketchUp and I'll start from there. I do want to show you that for your assistants, there is a handout that's posted on Google Classroom that has all of this described on it. And so let's take a look at how to do it. I'm going to create a new model. I'll just get started with that, and I'm going to go ahead and delete the sample person that's there. I'm going to take the rectangle tool and draw for myself a pretty good sized rectangle, at least to begin with here. And let's see, that's probably not bad right there. Pull that over some. Okay, so it's a pretty big rectangle, right? There we go. Now, here comes the new one of the, I guess there may be a couple of new tools or new ideas, but here comes a new tool today. On the toolbar on the left-hand side, this is what push-pull looks like. I kind of always just say tap P for push-pull, but that's what the tool looks like right there. If I press and hold, I can drift it off of it for a minute, but if I click and hold for a second, I get three different tools that pop out. The push-pull is at the top. Follow me is something that we'll get into later, but here's the one I want to show you right now, this offset tool. So here's what happens with the offset tool. I'm going to go ahead and click it, and I'll bring it into this rectangle that's here. And when I click and hold the mouse and start to drag, it's drawing, I'm going to orbit a little bit, so I'm looking down on that some. It's drawing a rectangle inside the rectangle. And I don't know if this makes sense to you or not, but it's keeping the proportions, the width, length proportions of the rectangle similar to the original rectangle that I drew. So they kind of look like they're all centered up nicely. And so the way this is going to work here, if I wanted to make my courtyard have a super thick wall and not very much courtyard, I would do it like that. This would wind up, something like this would wind up being a really, really thick wall, not much empty space inside. But if I'd rather have a thinner wall, I could pull the offset tool out this way. That's going to give me a much thinner wall, and it's going to give me a much more open space in the middle. So I think that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to have a thinner wall with more open space. So I'll pull that offset tool out here, and then I'll let go of the mouse. So it drew a rectangle inside the rectangle, pretty much is what it did. Now, I'm going to go get my arrow tool, and I'm just going to click this center rectangle that's in here, the surface, this rectangular box, and I'm going to delete it. I'm going to press delete, backspace, so I'm going to get rid of it. And yay. So that is going to wind up being my wall around my courtyard. The green area in the middle is the courtyard itself, and then the white, it looks white right now. I'm going to push-pull it up. In fact, I'll do that right now. Let's push-pull it up, and we make a wall. All right, so sometimes people ask how high should the wall be, but that's up to you. You can make a real tall wall if you want, or you can make a lower wall. That is up to you. Excuse me. All right, so I've got this wall that I created. I could orbit all the way around it. Cool. I'm not going to fill it yet. I'll get to the filling part here shortly. Now, here is a required part of this today. This is part of the assignment itself. We haven't gotten into any bonus levels yet. You have to cut a doorway. You have to cut a doorway through there. All right, well, one way you could do it, I could just take the rectangle tool, start at a bottom edge here and draw a rectangle, take push-pull and just shove that all the way through, and look, I cut a doorway. I mean, it could be as simple as that. I cut out a doorway. Now, I don't want to make a break in the wall, so you see that I left this area right here. I left that part intact, and I cut through the wall. I don't want to like cut this off and make a break in the wall. I don't want that kind of doorway. I want a doorway that somebody would have to walk through, and they would have something over their head when they walk through it, right? Okay, now that's not the only way you can do a wall or a door. I'm going to Control Z undo that. There, you could get a little fancier, but you don't have to. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I could draw a rectangle. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller this time. And then over here, there is this this tool that has different kinds of arcs. And some of you have used it before. I'm going to go to the 2-point arc tool. So it's over here. There's the arc section, and here's the 2-point arc tool. So I'll go ahead and click that. Here's how it works. I'm going to click on the left corner. I'll come over and click on the right corner, and then I'll just raise this up some, and you want to make sure it says on face. You can see that hint that's right there. It says on face. That's a good thing. So I'll go ahead and do a third click. This is going to be my third click. I clicked on the left corner, clicked on the right corner, and I'm going to do a third click right there. That looks like a free throw lane on a basketball floor, right? All right, now I'm going to do this. I'm going to take my arrow tool, and I'm going to click on that line that goes across right there, and I'm going to hit delete or backspace. I'm going to get rid of it. So now that leaves me in, this is called an edge in this program. That's what that's known as. That's an edge. All right, so that gives me an edge that has a curved top on it. And like I said, if this is confusing to you, you don't have to do it. You can just draw a rectangle and shove it through. But I wanted to do something a little bit fancier, so I did that curve up top, and I took out that middle line, and I'm going to do push-pull, and I'll just shove that through, and that is a little fancier doorway, right? Okay, yay. Now, all I would have to do to complete the assignment is take the bucket tool and fill it. That would be it. Assignment done. Save it, turn it in. However, I am going to show the levels of bonus. I'm going to close this materials panel, and I will fill it in a minute, but I'm going to show some levels of bonus. All right, well, now here's the first level of bonus is to do something with the top edge of the wall. And you can use your imagination. I'll show you a couple of suggestions, but you can use your imagination, try some other things if you want. Here's an idea. I'm going to go get the pencil tool or the line tool. It looks like a pencil. Keyboard shortcut is L, so I'm going to get the line tool, and I'm going to draw. I'm using one of my. You could do things like this on any part of the wall you want, but I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to draw a line, click and then click. I'll draw a line like that, and then I think I'll do click and then click. And I'll draw a line like that. Now I want to show you that this line tool is really good at finding midpoints. So like when I'm looking at these interior corners on this wall here, there's a corner there and there's a corner here. And if I just float this along, it snaps right to this midpoint, right? It's halfway through, it's halfway across, it turns blue, it says midpoint. Man, you can't miss it. So I'm going to click there, and I'll just carefully drag over and click here. And then I'm going to put in some more midpoints. Now I'm going to go to a midpoint like that. And I'll go to a midpoint over here. It snaps right to it. They're so easy to find. I'm going to do another set of midpoints here, and here, and here, and here. Now I could keep doing that if I wanted to. I could keep like splitting those areas in half if I wanted. I could just keep doing midpoints and midpoints and midpoints. But I think what I'm going to do now is show you where I was headed with this idea. What are you going to do with it? Well, I'm going to take push-pull now and raise. This is going to be like a castle, right? And I'll kind of eyeball it a little bit. We're going to get into more like details about, oh, can you make sure they're the same height and all that? Yeah, that kind of comes later. But you see, that's what I mean when I said that a level of bonus is to do something with the top edge of the wall to make it a little bit fancier. Now, I'm not going to do it in this movie, but I could go over here to this opposite side and do the same thing over here and make it look really nice. So if it had those like turret things on both sides, that would look good. I could even do them all the way across the back if I wanted to, or even all the way across the front. You could go all the way around the top of the wall like that. There's other ways you could decorate it up too. What if I came to the back here and I said, okay, let's see, let's take the line tool and let's locate the midpoint here. That's halfway, halfway across that back wall. And then maybe let's go a midpoint here and a midpoint. I'll find it. There it is. And maybe I'll go a midpoint here and a midpoint here. Now I'm going to take this one and get rid of it, and then I'm going to push-pull this up, and then I'll just push-pull these up a little bit, you know, lower, kind of like that. And so, and it's, you know, it's a different thing than what I did over on this side of the wall. I just was playing around, right? I was just kind of using my imagination and just kind of finding ways to make this look not like just a plain wall all the way around, just to do some different things to it. And so that's one level of bonus, to play around with the top edge of the wall and make it different, rather than just being, you know, just a regular flat top edge. All right, now the other level of bonus, I haven't filled anything yet, but I will. The other level of bonus is to put like a fountain or a reflecting pool, or just a pool of water inside the courtyard in here. All right, well, so you wouldn't have, if you're going to do that, you wouldn't have to do it like me. This is a bonus level. I'm going to tap C for circle, and I'll draw a circle like that. Now, I'm going to go back over here and get that offset tool again. And I'll click inside the circle, and I'll drag out. You see what the offset tool is doing here? It's drawing a circle inside the circle. They have the same center, and so I could pull that out to be, you know, kind of however I want it to be. I'm going to pull it out about like that. All right, so I've got kind of two circles that have the same center. I'm going to use push-pull. I'll tap P, and this is going to be like the, I don't know, stone or concrete part of the thing. And then this in here will be the water. This is going to be the water. So I'll raise that up a little bit, and I'll raise the water level some. That's going to be the water level. All right, well, now it's time to fill this so that I get all the credit, right? So I'm going to tap B for bucket. And I'm just going to use some kind of stone, I think. I'll use kind of a dark stone here, and I'll go around and, you know, fill all of these areas of this gimmick. And it helps to zoom in when you're filling a little bit. And remember that when you're filling, you always want to be careful enough to give it a good orbit and look at all the different angles. And we're going to learn more things about filling and tricks that you can do. And, you know, that's all coming. Fill that. There's a wall there that needs to be filled, a wall there that needs to be filled, and I got to get that, and oops, zoom in on that and get that. All right, and I got to get that, and these back sides of these. Starting to look pretty good if I orbit all the way around this thing and looking at all the angles. Got my wall filled. Now I got to fill my little water pool that's in there. So I think I'll use a different kind of stone for like the outer part of that. But then the inside I want to fill with water. That's actually a requirement on this assignment, that if you're going to do this level of bonus, and this, remember, this is a bonus level. So if I'm going to do this level of bonus, I got to take some kind of water over here on the water section and fill it with water. All right, cool. There we go. So this would be one that would give me the assignment plus all the levels of bonus, because I played around with the top edge of the wall and I did some fancy things there, and I put the water feature on the inside of the wall, and that would do it. All right, there you go. Your turn.